Have you ever noticed how life feels carefully structured and completely out of control at the same time? One moment, everything makes sense, your plans, your routines, your expectations. The next, a single event changes everything. This tension between order and chaos isn't just psychological. It's built into the universe itself. We live in a world governed by laws, cause and effect, physics, probability. And yet, within those laws, complexity emerges. Small changes create massive outcomes. Predictable systems produce unpredictable results. Scientists call this a deterministic but chaotic universe. Which means the universe may follow a script, but it's written in ink. And strangely, that's where the beauty begins. Because meaning doesn't disappear just because reality follows rules. In fact, meaning may emerge because of those rules. Think about a song. Every note is predetermined on the page, yet the performance still moves you. A movie has a fixed ending, yet the experience still matters. The value isn't in changing the script, it's in living it. This idea becomes even more intriguing when we consider something called the Novikov self-consistency principle. In simple terms, Novikov suggests that even if time travel were possible, you could never change the past. Any action you take would already be part of history, not because you're trapped, but because reality remains internally consistent. In other words, you were always going to do what you did. Not because you had no choice, but because the universe cannot contradict itself. This doesn't eliminate meaning. It reframes it. If the timeline cannot be changed, then what matters is not what happens, but how it happens through you. Which brings us to the unsettling and strangely comforting question. What if free will is an illusion? Not in the sense that nothing matters, but in the sense that maybe our role isn't to control the story, but to respond to it. If you're following a script you didn't write, then what defines you isn't the plot, it's your reaction to it, your attitude, your resilience, your curiosity, your compassion. Maybe who you are isn't found in the choices themselves, but in how you carry them. Overthinking minds often struggle here. We look for the hidden lever, the secret switch, the place where we can finally take control. But what if there is no switch? What if the system is already in motion, and your task isn't to stop it, but to move with it? That doesn't make you powerless. It makes you a participant. Think of a surfer. They don't control the ocean, they don't command the waves. But within the movement of the water, they find balance, timing, and rhythm. Their skill isn't in creating the wave, it's in responding to it. Life works much the same way. The chaos we experience isn't random noise, it's complex order we don't yet understand. And the order we rely on isn't rigid, it's flexible, adaptive, alive. Middle age often sharpens this realization. You've lived long enough to see patterns repeat, to recognize that certain choices lead to familiar outcomes, to notice that some struggles return, wearing different faces. But you've also seen how unpredictable life can be, how carefully laid plans unravel, and how unexpected moments become turning points. This tension between expectation and reality is where wisdom begins. Not in certainty, but in calibration. Life isn't something to solve. It's something to navigate. And navigation doesn't require knowing the destination, only knowing how to adjust your course. Which brings us back to identity. If you are not fully the author of your actions, then who are you? You are not just the choices you made. You are the way you made them. The values you leaned on when things were unclear, the tone you carried when things were difficult, the way you treated others when no one was watching, the way you spoke to yourself when you failed. These are not small things. These are the architecture of character. And character, unlike circumstance, is something you cultivate. So perhaps the illusion of free will isn't a loss, but a reframing. Instead of asking, "Am I free to choose anything?" we ask, "Given what I've been given, who will I become?" And that question doesn't need a final answer. It only needs your attention. Because attention changes the experience of living. When you pay attention, you stop rushing through moments and start inhabiting them. You notice subtle shifts in your thinking, your emotions, your relationships. You begin to see how often life speaks quietly, not in dramatic events, but in small, repeated patterns. Over time, something unexpected happens. You stop needing life to make perfect sense. You stop needing certainty to feel grounded. You stop needing control to feel secure. Instead, you develop orientation, a sense of where you are, even when you don't know exactly where you're going. This is the difference between being lost and being on a path you can't yet see clearly. And maybe that's what wisdom really is. Not knowing the answers, but knowing how to sit with the questions. Not mastering life, but staying engaged with it. Not escaping the dance between order and chaos, but learning its rhythm. So let's return to the question that started all of this. If free will is an illusion, what truly defines us? Maybe it's not the freedom to choose any outcome, but the freedom to choose how we meet the outcomes we're given. To meet uncertainty with curiosity. To meet limitation with creativity. To meet chaos with steadiness. To meet others with compassion. And to meet ourselves, not with judgment, but with understanding. Because in the end, meaning isn't something we discover waiting for us in the universe. Meaning is something we bring to the universe. One moment at a time. One reaction at a time. One quiet, deliberate response to the script we didn't write. And that may be the most human freedom of all.